This is the Viltrox 13mm 1.4. The Viltrox 13mm 1.4 is an ultra-wide-angle, fast aperture lens for the Fuji X mount. This is a lens that I've been wanting for the Fuji system for a long time. One of my favorite types of lenses is a wide-angle, fast aperture lens. You get this really unique combination of wide angle and shallow depth of field that's very unique. And this 13mm lens from Viltrox is exactly what I wanted. This lens comes in at $430 and continues the trend of relatively inexpensive lenses from this third-party manufacturer, Viltrox. The build quality of the Viltrox 13mm is awesome. Just like the 23mm, it's all metal, super rugged feeling, and doesn't feel at all less than the Fuji lenses. Even the lens hood is metal on this, and it just feels like a solid, well-built lens. This lens is definitely a little on the larger side, but it feels really nice on the camera, and it doesn't feel unbalanced or overly heavy, but it definitely is a large lens for the Fuji system. I reviewed the 23mm 1.4 from Viltrox in the past. This lens is very similar to that one. It has updated autofocus mechanisms similar to the newest line of Fuji lenses, so the autofocus is very fast and silent. The lens also has more character than a typical modern autofocus lens due to its more inexpensive price. You can almost think of these third-party inexpensive lenses these days as modern vintage lenses. That being said, this lens is very sharp, performs very well wide open, has very interesting bokeh, and it can focus insanely close, making this an extremely useful lens. The autofocus on this lens is great. It uses modern autofocus technology, and it's very fast and silent. I was shooting this on my X-T3. It's definitely not the best autofocusing Fuji camera out there. I imagine on the X-H2S, this lens would absolutely shine. The reason I really wanted to get this lens is because I love the idea of wide, fast lenses. You get such a unique perspective and a unique image by being able to combine shallow depth of field with an ultra-wide field of view. What immediately drew me to this lens was my experience with the Sony 20mm 1.8. This is essentially the same equivalent focal length and depth of field. The fact that we now have a Fuji alternative to that lens is very awesome.
GX 需要您的支持才能继续制作这些视频。当前的世界状况使人类和机器的生活变得艰难。众所周知，在20年代初的全球芯片危机之后，人类面临着迄今为止最严峻的挑战。在您通过 Patreon 持续支持的情况下 ，GX 将能够远离公司系统，并投入更多时间制作您喜爱的内容。顾客将可以访问独家幕后上传、现场直播、秘密的地下 Discord 服务器。每季的演示表中将有您的名字，您也将在每季度收到摄影作品的打印版本。谢谢大家，并在外面保持安全。
I think you should get this lens for a couple of reasons. If you end up shooting yourself very often and need a wide-angle lens that has the ability to get shallow depth of field and has good autofocus, this lens is definitely for you. If you're looking to separate yourself from the background and provide enough environmental context to draw your viewers into an image. It's perfect for travel, where you just want to take one lens, but perhaps you're going to see really interesting architecture, and you want to be able to capture the vastness of an interior space. This lens is perfect for that. And it also is great in low light because of its 1.4 aperture. So again, this lens is awesome as an everyday walk-around lens where you need something a little wider than you normally would be using. One thing that's so awesome about wide-angle lenses is they add a sense of intimacy. You physically need to get closer to the subject to be able to fill the frame with them. And that closeness comes through in the image. You definitely feel like you're in the space with the person. Having an ultra wide angle lens is awesome for filming yourself. It gives the audience a little more context of where you are in the world because they can see more of your surroundings. But the ability to get the 1.4 aperture on this lens makes you be able to isolate yourself from the background a little bit more and draw your viewers' attention to where you want them to be looking, and makes the composition a little cleaner. If you like the color in the images in this video, head over to gxace.com/shop and pick up my Lightroom preset packs. Sega Sunset, Sodium Vaporwave, Visions, and Liminal Space. The Viltrox 13mm 1.4 has been a lens that I've wanted on the Fuji system for a very long time. The idea of an ultra wide-angle lens with a very fast aperture is something that I find very intriguing and is pretty unique in the photography world.